on the overall, in the postseason, I don't think you could say about the Sabres that they were a team that could win when they got outplayed because, all right, well, then I got to trust my goaltending and power play. And one of the two was always not working.
803-0550. Watching the overtime winner here, let's bring in senior goaltending correspondent and man of many trades, Owen Parker. Watching it here, it's funny, like the things you key in on and you wonder who wants it back and who thinks differently because, there's a turnover at the blue line, and does the player who turns it over at the blue line go to the offseason thinking about that? Like I found myself walking out to the car thinking about Tage on that last shift. But the shot itself is a fairly benign shot, right?
Yeah, super benign.
Your read of how the season ended on that play.
I mean, let's start with the play with Dahlin and Thompson at the blue line in the O-zone. The puck's got to get deep there from one of those two guys. Everybody's on Dahlin about it, but I thought it was just as egregious from Thompson that the second that Dahlin dumped it off on him, he didn't just fire it into the corner. I thought that was really a bad mistake out of both of them. So that really, it starts there. And then from there, I mean, it's a really simple, as classic a 3-on-2 play as you'll see. Kick out from the middle wide, center lane drive, outside shot, lefty coming down the left side, sticks on the outside, like really not a dangerous play. And it ends up flipping up on Newhook's stick. He said it was just it flipped up on its side as he let it go, and it was a knuckle puck, and it dipped on the way, but it was clean. The screen really wasn't a factor until it was already by him, and it beats him in a spot he should get to. And it's not a goal that, despite the fact that it does dip, you should be giving up in Game 7 overtime of a playoff series. The reality is you need a save. And did he play great in the first period? Absolutely. He played an unbelievable first period. But after that, his job was easy, and he gave up an easy one. And the season dies on it. And that is the harsh reality of the goaltending position is you can play as good as you want for a period or a game, and you give that goal up, and that is what everyone will remember. Nobody cares about the 2 Caulfield saves in the first period. Have we mentioned them today yet? No, but they were unbelievable. But it doesn't matter because he gave up a stinker, and the season's over.
Yeah,
and you've just got to deal with it. The nightmare came true. I mean, he made tons of good saves. He kept him in a tight game in the first period, and he burned them in the end. Mm-hmm. It's what we all were scared of, isn't it?
Yeah, I was terrified of him being in goal yesterday.
Yeah.
And it went better than I thought it would.
Agreed.
Well, I didn't know. Like, part of thought it would. It could be anything with him.
Right.
Like, that is kind of why I don't trust him, is it could be anything. He absolutely made some great saves last night. I had no problem with his game until overtime.
No.
Like, not really, but part of that was he had no work in the second and the third period.
No.
Montreal, did they have a single good chance for, 2 hours yesterday?
It was an impressive display from Buffalo of just, you guys got nothing.
So, I don't know. I'm kind of not changed much by who he is as a goalie and what you should do going forward. To me, you got decisions to make this offseason. It's not fireable to me, that shot alone, but the playoffs as a whole, he showed you who he is, just like he has in multiple other regular seasons. And when you're comparing him to your other guys, like Lyon or Ellis, UPL makes almost $5 million a year.
Yeah.
And if you want to pay guys, if you want to pay Tuck, if you want to go make a Robert Thomas trade, if you want to go do something else big, then that guy makes almost $5 million. Mm-hmm. And as long as he's here making almost $5 million, do I have room for a guy to come in over top of him?
No, probably not.
No. So, I don't want to make the whole decree he's got to go because of that goal. But if you ever want a guy that's more trustworthy than the guy you had between the pipes last night, I don't think he can still be on the team.
At the root of this is does the GM, maybe the coach, whoever, do you think you had a team that deserved better than it got? And
I think they did.
And if so, why didn't you get it? there are a couple culprits here. You might talk about
Yep.
Tucker Thompson
Yep.
in the playoffs. Thompson ends up with a bunch of points. So, like, he had 15 points. Like,
Yeah.
I almost
Thompson's even the advanced numbers, like some of
he was
some
fine.
of them.
He was
look
fine.
good.
Yeah.
Maybe you
But
wanted
he was
Thompson
third
to
in the playoffs in points.
Right. Maybe you wanted him to come through in a very big moment, like a breakaway in Game 5.
I would have liked a better play in the 2-on-1 in overtime.
2-on-1 in
last night.
overtime where you just kind of hold the puck for a while.
Benson
like those
was
are
wide open.
Right. Those are just moments. Whereas for Tuck to have 0 points, like why was it we didn't get over the line? If you're Yarmouth, you're thinking why didn't we get over the line? He attacked the third pair, and then in this game they're playing a different third pair, and in goal, like I don't know. I feel like they played a rotation and it worked. And they got away from the rotation in the playoffs, searching for someone to be the hot goalie.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the hot goalie was the rotation in the regular season. And they weren't, I guess they didn't have I don't want to say they didn't have the guts, but they didn't have the commitment to count on the rotation being the hot goalie.
Yeah, exactly.
They bailed from it as soon as they got to the playoffs.
Right. Everything about the way that their goaltending sort of was thought about and functioned this season went away because they changed the philosophy. It shifted from what can we do to get who in the best spot to win. It went from that to, okay, we got to find a guy that's now going to be carrying us through. And that shifted and that changes the approach and that makes it difficult. And I think that you saw both goalies really exemplify their issues. I think Lyon got caught not being able to read plays early, and he's not that athletic, and he's not that big, and he couldn't make up for it, and he got cold at the wrong time. And Luukkonen had exactly what I think we all were ready for him to do. He looked great sometimes, and he blew it in other cases. Is there anyone that expected anything different from him in the playoffs? Seriously, if you had polled Sabres fans before the playoffs started, before the Bruins series, like Luukkonen starting the series, will he make it through the first series? How many people say yes? 15% think he's going to make it through the whole series. And then same thing before Montreal, like Lions in, and what do you think? Is it going to be him the whole time? Probably not.
Yep.
And it all came true. And that is the harsh reality of not having a stud there.
I want to make a point about the rotation here because Ryan wrote in the chat, it wasn't a rotation in the playoffs, it was desperation because they both looked really shaky.
Right.
That's not true. They bailed on the rotation between games 1 and 2 of the Boston series. That's when the rotation ended.
Right.
Regular season at the end of the regular season, they ended the rotation. And you listen.
But there also wasn't a commitment to one guy, and you didn't pick a guy and run with him. And Montreal, by the way, they're a good comparison for this because they rotated all year too. Like, it was Fowler and Dobish at the end. It was Montembeault, Dobish, and Fowler, by the way, earlier in the season. Like, they did the 3-goalie thing all season as well. And at the end of the year, kind of the same. Like, Dobish didn't really get a lot of the starts until, the last couple of weeks of the season, just like UPL. And guess what? When their guy was running into trouble in a first period, they didn't pull him. When their guy let in 7, you're at game 6 at that point, they didn't pull him. Like, they just said, Dobish is our guy, and we're sticking with him.
Yeah.
And couple different points. Maybe game 5 or when he lost 3 in the first period would have been when they could have done it. They had a commitment to Dobish that Lindy never had for either of his guys.
Right. And I don't think any of us are saying that the Sabres were wrong in how they approached that. It's just that the approach from the regular season to the playoffs, to me, indicates a desire to want to be able to go to somebody and go to sleep. Right? Like, I'm going to play this guy because he's our best chance to win. Lindy started to say that at the end of the season, like, who are you going to play? Like, the guy that gives us the best chance to win. I'm thinking about winning one game here. Mm-hmm. And I think that they had goalies that didn't give them the confidence to ride it until it was Lyon in the Boston series. Lyon had a good stretch run, then had 2 games against Montreal where they decided, like, all right, we got to switch back.
I think...
Like, they rode the goalie... rode the goalie roller coaster.
Lyon's first period in Game 6 ends up being critical. And I don't know what's different. Yesterday, does he make that save? I don't know. I'd be guessing to tell you that he makes that save. But I think the best outcome for them in these playoffs would have been Lyon just goes. He just goes. He's the guy. And he just plays. Because you look back and you say, yeah, he really only had one bad period. One really bad period the whole time. But it was also like the worst period you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So it could be the equivalent of like 3 pretty bad periods. I know. But it was such a bad period, it really becomes crucial because it was such a bad period you could never play him in Game 7. You could have never, ever done it.
And the same thing happened in the first series with Luukkonen when he gave up the bouncer. Is like
it was such a bad goal.
It was just one bad goal.
Right.
And the trigger was thin. Because I think they didn't trust either guy to do it the way that you're describing, Joe. Like, they didn't think at the first sight of a bump with either one of them, they were like, we got to be careful here. Whereas, what did Montreal do with DiBiase? Like, don't pull him. Right. Don't pull him. Well, that was Game 5, right? Like
he allowed the two of the easiest goals you'll ever see, and they stuck with him.
Marty called up to the goalie coach, and the goalie coach said, no, don't take him out. They stuck with him, and they won the game. Mm-hmm. That is trusting your goaltender because he's a guy that maybe has earned that trust. And that trust eroded away from the Sabres at the end, and it cost them. They just couldn't find a solution there. And that is going to be a story. And that was the story coming into this year. They got through it in the regular season with these guys playing great, and the rotation worked. I think it's another thing we're going to talk about all offseason long.
803-0550. Wide open phone lines. We've got some spots for you if you want to jump in. George in Buffalo. We'll also talk to Paul Hamilton at 8 o'clock. It's 69 degrees outside, so it's a nice day. Hey, George, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Nothing to hang our heads about. Great season, really. Man, we were playing with the house's money anyway, so it was just a great run there. I'd love to see it go farther, but it is what it is. What I would say, though, is, and it's not because of Tuck's playoffs here. It's just in the end, I wasn't a big fan of re-signing him to a big contract, and I would love to see them maybe try to, since the strength of their team seems to be on defense, I'd love to see him try to extend Byram and then potentially use some of that money for Tuck to go to Byram, and then of course we have Benson and Krebs, who I think are both intricate parts in their own ways to the team, and I don't know if I'm guessing 7 for 7 for Benson, or unless he's going to do a bridge deal, and then obviously. Maybe a $4 million deal for Krebs, $5 million deal for Krebs. And then with the goaltending, I think it is what we have, as far as goaltending tandem. I don't think that there's anything out there in free agency that would be worth trying to sign, and trading for one is difficult too. So I think the future is pretty bright.
Yeah.
They'll have decisions to make, and I think the Tuck-Byram question is actually a little interesting because do you think you're going to keep both of them? Because it's only a 1-year difference, and if you feel like, well, if we give Alex Tuck $10 million, then we're not projecting out that we're going to also then give Bo Byram $9 million. Like, I think that can be a question. There's time for this, and I've wondered a lot. I actually haven't really mentioned it just because the playoffs have been rolling along. That was them trying to acquire Colton Parayko, who had 5 years, $6.5 million left, a sign that Jarmo wasn't planning on keeping Bo Byram long-term?
Quite possibly,
because what were the odds you were going to acquire $6.5 million for long-term on Parayko and then still giving Bo Byram $9 million bucks, or whatever he would cost?
I also, there are going to be a lot of players that, we talk about keeping. I have no idea what Benson's next deal ends up being.
What's the longest they're allowed to sign him for?
I have no idea.
Is the 17-year contract still allowed?
You might even want to. If you want to keep him as long as possible, you might want to go with a bridge deal to get him to the year before UFA, and then
RFA.
Sign him to 7. Yeah,
go 2 and then 8.
Yeah. Do something like that. You end up saving money, maybe. Short term, I don't know.
But you get him for a decade. You're planning to keep him for as long as he plays.
If you want to do that. The other thing I think about is names are going to come up like Krebs. I like Krebs. There's no way I have to feel like I need to have that guy, right?
Not need. No.
There are too many bodies right now, and what's Kekalainen going to do here? He's going to see a bunch of players that are kind of good, and I don't want to take this shot at the Bills. You got to be careful not to fall in love with every one of your players that's good. And you have to let some go because you're going to pursue someone great, whether that's trading for Robert Thomas or, like you said, extending a Byram or big game hunting for Parayko or whoever it is. Like now that it's the offseason, or once we get to the offseason, you'll have 31 other teams to deal with. You can, why can't they shoot for the moon with this? So I don't sit here and think about you got to re-sign Krebs. I like him a lot. To me, that's like who the Bills re-signed that they didn't maybe really have to.
AJ Epinesa.
Sure.
At some point along the way.
Or
well, is there a comparison here to what Darcy did after 07? Like maybe not totally, but didn't he just keep all the guys that were only pretty good? Like Kodalik and Hesh and
they made a choice
Connolly.
They made a choice between Kodalik and Dumont is what it was, and Dumont left.
So it's not it's not perfect.
They let McKee walk, and they signed Spacek.
But if you're debating Byram, who I think is provably good, and really good, and part of your superpower is a top 4, versus I could either sign Byram or I could keep Krebs and Malenstein and this guy. Oh, no, you keep the one guy who you think is really good. I'm with you. Some guys are going to be priorities and others are not going to be priorities. I think, though, part of the optimism coming out of these playoffs and out of this season is not just their results. It also is, I got a lot of guys that are 23 years old or younger that look good. Mm-hmm. And some of them, like Osland and Hellenius and maybe Kulik, are not even really regulars yet. And you would want all of them, I think, in the lineup the next time they play a hockey game. And you're right, they'll have to make room. And maybe that's where you'll get to on Tuck. Why do I have to pay Alex Tuck $10 million? I don't even have room for my really good young forwards that are coming up.
The thing about Tuck right now, though, is even if Tuck comes back, I think they need a top 6. Didn't they need a top 6 before the season started? Is Osland that now? His existence, now that we've seen him play? I think they're going to
feel like they've got top. You want to replace Tuck with a Robert Thomas, can you just pencil Osland in? He's a top 6 forward. Okay. Benson's a top 6 forward. Doan's a top 6 forward. I've got top 6 forwards. They kind of have a top 9, which is the thing. But they're not a team that has stars all over a top 6. They're a team that has 8 forwards that are top 6.
Sure.
Fringe top 6.
And what should a team that has that do, in my opinion? Package 3 of them for one guy in the top 3 and then backfill.
Right.
Wasn't
that the Robert Thomas idea at the deadline?
That's probably what the Robert Thomas idea was, yeah. Right. 803-0550. Andy, New Hampshire. Hey, Andy, good morning.
Hey, boys. We can all take a breath. If you asked us all in September, will you take the current situation we had last night and lose? 100% all of us say yes. For 14 years, it was kind of when is this ever going to end?
Yep.
I'm going to focus on some of the positives. You guys have made some great points on, I want to say I don't blame officiating. I think this was actually a pretty well officiating game. These guys have, and Wes McCauley's been an official longer than some of these guys that were on the ice skating were born. He's called a few games. These guys are human. They're going to make a couple questionable calls here and there, but we didn't lose the game because of officiating. We lost because we didn't capitalize on opportunities, partially because we got goalied and partially because maybe the wrong decision was made on a play. The Zucker 2-on-1, the Tage play at the end. But I'll tell you, something to feel optimistic about. Number one, it feels like we've got actual hockey people in charge now planning over the next few years. It's not just Yarmo. He's got good support around him and Bergeron and the like. So I think you're going to see a different approach to how we build this team with this foundation, and the core is there. Young, but now experienced.
Right.
I think all of us wanted Owen Power traded yesterday, and he just, I don't know, there's something happened in these playoffs. You wonder if he took that step that NHL defensemen take when going to the next level. He just played with a calm consistency, and I'm hoping that carries through, and I got to think it will. And if it does, he signed for a while.
Yeah,
long term.
Yep.
So I think the future is bright. I'm curious to see what happens with goaltending. It always is the case in the NHL. Goaltending wins championships, with the exception of Hasek, and we won't go there. But
yeah,
I'm going to be optimistic, I think.
Well, to the point about hockey people, Maybe you've heard me make this point before. You're going to make me hear it again. Like how much what Jarmo's role in this is versus Kevin Adams. Kevin Adams made a lot of good trades. A lot of the players here, most of the roster, the whole lineup is Kevin Adams' team. The one thing I think Kekalainen will do that I wondered if Adams would ever do is the kind of deal we're talking about here. 3 pieces for 1 piece. The Sabres did a lot of 1 piece out, 3 pieces in. It's kind of how this thing got built.
Or 1-for-1s.
Or 1-for-1s. But the deal that takes the, chips to the center of the table kind of thing, like I'm going to pay the price for this player. And Jarmo, by all accounts, was looking to do that at his first deadline. And
right, he had agreed to it. The player said no.
Yeah, that's right. But he traded the Sabres' first-round pick this past year, Radim Murtka. So,
and their first-round pick in a draft they were going to host.
Right.
For a guy that played a position they were already great at, by the way.
Right.
So
the offseason will be huge, obviously.
And I wonder if that would be a goalie. Like how badly, I will be very curious to see how badly he thinks he needs that, because I'm conflicted. I want them to go get the stable number 1. And then I do look at the playoffs and think, like, Shesterkin and I guess Bobrovsky's not really on this level anymore. Hellebuck, like your star goalies of the league, your elite guys, they're not really the names that are left. And you can do it that way, but these teams also land on one guy. And that maybe is more the point. It might not even matter who it is. You just got to get to a place where you can trust one guy, no matter how you get him. And maybe he doesn't have to be the best goalie in the league. And I just don't feel like the Sabres are in that place. So how aggressive does he think? Because, listen, if you want to go make a giant swing and go get a guy who's won a Vezina trophy, then sure, you will never have to think about that. There will never be a question about what goalie you're playing. And maybe we want that back.
803-0550 and 1-888-552-550. Thanks, Andy, for the phone call. Yeah, if you told us back in, November, December, would have taken it. Very, very happy that it's all back. Everything is back. And, you might wonder, does next season feel as fun? I think yes, but now expectation creeps in. Now pressure creeps in. Now, if Tuck is re-signed, another series where he doesn't produce becomes a lot uglier than just one. Or,
I think the start of next season, on no doubt, will be 1,000 times more exciting than the beginning of last season.
They're going to raise a banner.
They're going to raise a banner, and there will be expectations. There will be an expectation you're going to go back to the playoffs, and that you're going to be a very good team again. And last year, at the beginning of the season, it was just like, all right, let's do it again.
Right.
Let's see if they get lucky. It's just a totally different experience watching their offseason and preparing for the next time they play a game. Their season they just had, it gives you everything. It gives you belief of what they're going to do long term. It gave you the day yesterday. Like that's a day where I'm going downtown at 4:30 and hanging out for 3 hours.
It's 80 degrees.
It's 80 degrees out, and everyone's hanging out on a patio, and it's like a 6-7 hour day for you. And it's the very end of it sucks. But before that, it's a day in May. I mowed the lawn earlier in the day and then went to a hockey game.
I swam.
That matters.
I swam then went to a hockey game.
Those are not things I've done before.
Outside.
Right. How was the water?
It's a heated pool.
Okay. I was going to say, the lake's not very...
No, the lake's probably
not very warm
cold.
yet.
803-0550. We'll get a break in, more of your phone calls, and keep breaking down Alex Newhook's overtime winner, I guess, among others. It was a tough one. So, how you feeling about it? How you processing it? A Game 7 overtime loss to the Montreal Canadiens. When we get back, I'll give you a thought on who to root for, I guess. It's not quite that. It's more what will hurt less, which is pretty much how we always operate. What do I want to? What scenario would hurt me the least? It's coming up here on WGR.